Welcome to the Sunspice Wisdom Show. I'm your host, Ashley Welch, and today with me is the fabulous Laura Watson, aka the Numbers Nomad. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So should we tell them what happened before you came?
Sure. Yeah.
What tried to derail you?
Yeah, my puppy. I have a 14-week-old puppy, and I'm just about to leave the house. I'm like, I'm going to get here early, have some Sunspice,
You really prepared.
grounding. And she's like foaming at the mouth. So, and like diarrhea and all the things. And I'm like, with a 14-year-old puppy, that's a little scary. So I'm on the phone with the vet, and my husband's trying to get home from a job. He's in construction. So we're coordinating all of that, and we might have to go off island after this. But,
wild. And now we're here to talk about having a healthy mindset. So
right.
What a test.
Yes. On the way here, I was literally taking deep breaths, and I'm like, this is not going to derail your conversation. This is like second nature to you.
Totally. That's awesome. So let me just make sure, since we are live on Facebook, that anyone who wants to comment, if you are watching our live, go ahead and put your name in the comments. Let us know where you're coming from. And as we are having this discussion about money mindsets, feel free to drop any questions that you have. And at the end, we'll try to get to them. Mm-hmm. So we really want to utilize Laura today because not only is she just awesome and beautiful and everything we could all hope to be, right? But she's a CPA. And I know for myself, I'm excited to sort of learn more about how a mindset would move into finances, because I mean, I have my own business, but my husband will attest to you, like, I love to spend money. I'm not always the best at saving it. And how do, and I think part of it is I never want to feel scarce. I never want to feel like I can't spend anything. But sometimes what comes with that is this unhealthy sort of desire to spend over, to like prove to myself that I can have that, and some of you may have the issue, but I know for a lot of people, and a lot of people who are watching today, there's almost more of a fear related to spending money, which is on the whole other side of it. So, well, let's start out with just getting to know you a little bit more. What got you into the finance world? Where did you work, and what are you doing now?
Sure. So I was in college going to business school, and I wanted to own a coffee shop of all things. And I had to take an accounting course to get my business degree. And I remember my professor telling me, like, you need to, if you want to own a business, like, accounting is the best way. Like 90% of businesses or something like that fail due to not having good projections, forecasts, knowing their numbers, all that stuff. So I was like, oh, this is my ticket to owning a coffee shop. That's still on the docket. I still want to. It's just funny that I'm now sitting here in not a coffee shop, but
in a not coffee shop.
But so I remember like deciding I'm going to do this. I ended up going abroad. I lived in Barcelona for 6 months, and I got back, and I wanted nothing to do with accounting. I was like, it was my first like awakening, we'll call it. And someone told me that good people need to be around money and need to be around businesses, and people need accountants everywhere.
Yeah.
So my quickest way in my head was to go into accounting. I got recruited to work at a public accounting firm in Seattle, worked there for a couple years, and was so burnt out. I was like, this was not what I wanted to be doing.
Yeah. I mean, I assume you're just sitting at your desk.
Well, I was an auditor, so I would go into businesses and, like ask them questions that were uncomfortable. I mean, if you can imagine like being an auditor.
Yeah.
So that wasn't part of the deal. I was thinking, this is not my life. This is not fulfilling. I need to do something else. I need to change my circumstances, what I was thinking.
Right.
And so I've been manifesting for a long time. I didn't really know I was manifesting until I started actually intentionally doing the work. But I remember, I still have it in my journal. I said, I'm moving to the San Juan Islands, or I'm moving to Ireland. Turns out an Irish guy, Jerry, your friend, hired me to come to the San Juan Islands. So I got my...
Wow.
Is that, yeah.
And now you're here.
Funny. So now I'm here. and worked at a startup.
Not in Ireland, but you
I'm
were
not in
you were
Ireland.
ushered by the Irishman.
Yeah, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah, that is funny. I hope he watches.
Oh yeah. Hi, Jerry. So I worked at a startup on the island here for 4 years, and I just kept thinking, like, I'm in this idyllic place. I should be feeling better about this. Why do I feel so much scarcity? I'm so risk averse. This is all the stuff that I don't want to be feeling, and I should have changed this. Just change it. Keep working, keep growing. And eventually got to a point where I had several breaking points, panic attacks, lots of stuff. And my husband, he was my boyfriend at the time, but he kept telling me, like, there's another way, there's a better way. And I just didn't believe it. I was like, I'm not worthy of having my own business. I don't know enough. I don't know how to do taxes well enough.
All that negative self-talk just seeped right in.
So much of it. So eventually we ended up going to Tanzania last February, right before COVID hit, for a safari. It was my dream vacation. Our friends asked us if we wanted to go. It was right during tax season. And my higher self was like, you are going to Tanzania. My husband was like, oh, we are going to Tanzania. So we went and we ended up eloping there. It was amazing. It was right before the world shut down, literally weeks before. And I got back and I remember feeling this, like, just this emptiness. Like, I was totally drained. I was not looking forward to going back.
Yeah. Wow.
And because I'd felt so much there, that was kind of like my real great awakening.
Yeah.
And so I remember coming home and telling my husband, like, I need to do something else. Like, I'm ready to do it.
Yeah.
And I ended up looking up hashtags, quit your job on Instagram. And that's how I found my coach and learned all about money mindset. She happened to be a CPA, had a podcast called Quit Your Job. And she taught me about money mindset. And I was like, I'm a CPA and I have no idea what that actually means. Like, zero. What is this?
Money mindset.
Money mindset. And when I tell people that, especially if you've been in the coaching world for a long time, you're like, you really didn't know what money mindset was? And I'm here to say, I had never heard of it.
Right.
Was not in that space.
So you dive in this year.
This year.
This is like, you're fresh. You've like, this is fresh meat. Like, we have to start. I mean, this is someone who took that leap. So for people that are sitting in their job, or maybe they don't have a job and they're just wanting to take a leap, which is a financial, you could say a risk or adventure or opportunity, right? However you want to put it into words. You are a living, breathing example of you can do it.
Yep.
And so what does that transition look like for you? And talk about money mindset. Like, really, let's dive into what does that actually mean? Yeah.
So for me, it was looking at this whole, I call it the other side of money. And I had been brought up in kind of this idea that money was bad. Rich people do bad things. Having a lot of money, you should never aspire to have money. It will never make you happy. It will never do this. It will never do that. And I believed that. And so as a person that was in a job as a CPA that was dealing with money all the time, it was, that was kind of the notion I had, even helping clients, even in the jobs I had. So money mindset truly can be this other side of looking at money as energy, right? It can help us. It can guide us. It wants to help us, but we can also block it all the time. Yeah. Energetically. And we don't even know we're doing it. Yeah. And that was a big aha for me.
Wow. So energetically, where do you think you were blocking money from flowing?
Well, I was recently married and, I was blocking any abundance for both of us because I didn't want him to help me. I kind of grew up in a household with, my parents had separate finances. And, I didn't trust him. I didn't trust that. So it was a very pivotal kind of moment for me to have this kind of shared trust in finances.
So you merged everything together.
Yeah. And we still have some stuff that's like, have our own checking accounts, but we've been really working hard I'm working hard at unlearning a lot of those things and unlearning that I don't need to, guard my money. I don't need to squeeze it dry.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating topic. And and it is fascinating because you're in the world of like female power, get yours. But along, with that process, like really, especially when as soon as you form partnership, being able to like have the first experience where you're merging and you're sharing your wealth and you're sharing these manifestations of money together and the power within that, you can totally dampen that. I'm just making that connection right now in my mind as I'm talking about it. I'm like, so fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. So you work through a lot of blocks with your money, and what have you seen grow within your business now? Because you're a coach. This is part of what you do. Yes.
Yeah. So first, you can only take people so far as you've taken yourself. So I'm continually working through blocks and different things. I mean, to even just be sitting here and having this conversation about money and about the energy and frequency of money and allowing myself to detach from the identity of being a CPA and this kind of like, these are the rules type of person and being
buttoned up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so even just like releasing that to allow money to come to me that doesn't come from me doing bookkeeping from someone or helping them with their taxes or whatever. So that was huge for me. With clients too, just the basic things we work through. And I'm working with bookkeepers and accountants too. So I'm working with like some of the most like logical, fearful types of people. And I say this because I am one. I can say this.
Yes.
And working through those is some of the most powerful work I think I've ever put on this planet to do, because you think about the expansion of that, how many clients they're helping. And if they can just see money a little bit differently, what is it going to do to the world?
Yeah. So. No, it is so fascinating. I mean, I have horror stories working with accountants,
A lot of people do.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, I avoided it, and it was this weird thing where like, you almost felt like you could get in trouble all the time. Like when I worked in the corporate world, and, you didn't want to ask for too much, but you had to ask to get paid. It was like, it's time to get paid, and then it felt like there was this energy around it, and it was very conservative. It was a very conservative mindset, which I find very interesting to be sitting with you right now. And I don't find you super restrictive around the mindset of money. So that's great. So for yourself, has money and mindset collided with other areas of growth in your life?
Oh, for sure. I think the biggest surprise was actually my time mindset. My time mindset and my worthiness around how I spent my time was blocking me from making money, because I was feeling like, and I think a lot of people feel this, especially if you're in corporate America, where your worthiness is attached to how many hours you're working, which causes to burnout, which just doesn't help us. And we just think that we're not worthy of the money we're making. I'm not worthy of that 6-figure salary unless I'm working 10
It's like
hours
this
a day.
idea that I could work an hour and make $1,000 is just like unheard of to the average person. Like that's ridiculous. How would you even do that? Yeah.
And even an example, this past weekend, my husband and I have this idea. We are going to buy like this state-of-the-art hot tub. Like, we want a hot tub so bad. We just bought a house and it's like the thing that we both wanted, but we don't want any hot tub. We want like the hot tub with like the copper and no chlorine. And
I know what you're talking about. They are super expensive.
And we were there this weekend looking at them, and I had this thought cross my mind of, who are you to be buying this hot tub? Like, who do you think you are? And it's funny because before, I would have totally just kept that story going.
Yeah.
Right. And I just noticed it and I was like, that's an interesting story you have there. And, work through it, journal on it, lots of exercises that I even take my own clients through. And I definitely deserve that hot tub. So,
yeah. And you know what you have to do to get it, right?
Right.
It's like, I feel like this idea for a long time, I mean, I've had, this is my third business, and I would say this, Sunspice and this brand is the first business I would say is real. And the reason that I'm aware that it's very real is that for the first time, I'm actually writing down financial goals, numbers, real numbers. And I'm going, okay. And I, started at my 10-year, like in 10 years, what's that number that I want to see? And then backing in from there, it's like, okay, so I have 10 years to get from that. So what does that look like annually? Okay. What does that look like monthly? What does that look like weekly? And then how am I going to get it? And so it's like, I found that actually thinking big and broad and going like limitless and then honing down, it gave such a sense of clarity. I'm curious what kind of what your practices are and what you do with your clients to get them freed from the jail of limiting money beliefs.
Well, what I found was, and we talked about this yesterday when you went live in our Expressing the your Inner Goddess group, was I think Sydney brought this up, but it was that we feel sometimes so clouded about our dreams, right? Like that's how I felt about when I was in corporate America, is I realized, and I really saw this as a problem, like I don't have any dreams right now. I have no idea what my goals are. I have no idea where I'm headed. And so truly it's finding the space and the clarity is the most important to be able to even dream. And so a lot of times right now, what I'm taking my clients through is they are definitely in the needing to work through some of their blocks so that they can get clear, so that they can dream bigger. Because right now, many of them are like, I'm not deserving of that $1 million business, or it's greedy for me to want that, right? God doesn't want that for me. The universe doesn't want that for me. And I'm here to say, no, absolutely. It's all available to you. And to be able to tell that to women, especially, it's my life's work.
Yeah. So I had a girlfriend. I was showing her what we did with our retreat, our 7-week retreat, and she was watching it and she was like, why don't you have people paying for this?
I was wondering the same thing.
She was like, what are you doing? Like people need this, and you have to put value on it. And it's not, oh, well, that's selfish. My thought was like, well, who wants to pay for this? Like my initial thought was like, I just want to help people. And yes, of course you should help people, but you don't want to be the starving artist. You just don't. No. It's not the glamorous.
It doesn't serve anyone.
It doesn't serve anyone. And this idea of then draining yourself, I mean, that's ultimately what ends up happening. And it really viewing money, like you said, as energy and as putting value on what you have to offer. The gifts that you have to bring into the world. What does that value look like for you? And as you grow, theoretically, you should be increasing your value, because as you gain more wisdom, as you know more, and as you have more to offer, that value should do the same thing and work in parallel with you. So such fascinating conversation about money, because it goes in all different directions. You said something that I find fascinating, which is that this idea of women not feeling worthy. Well, and it makes sense, if you don't feel like you're worth, that pair of jeans that you really wanted because they look so good on you, but they were a little bit more than you've ever spent on jeans, and to not feel worthy of that purchase. I mean, or not feel having self-worth is so correlated to you not feeling worthy of that purchase. For all you know, you were going to rock those jeans. It was going to make you feel really good about yourself, and it was going to inspire you to think differently, And so this is funny when we talk about this idea of like using the material world too, not being ashamed of the material world to use as these tools for inspiration. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. I mean, I have even books that I've found that I read in college, like how much is enough? And I had this whole idea about, I need to live in a van and I need to I had this whole idea.
You are the numbers nomad. So.
Yeah, I know. It all fits, but it was taking away that shame of wanting a nicer car. I mean, I blocked myself from having a nice car my whole life, right? And those are stories that I had from when I was younger. And so you brought up yesterday about buying a nice car. That's something that I've been working through. I bought myself a nice car out of college and I still didn't deserve it. And I sold it and bought myself a beater car. So
wow.
We will block ourselves.
Wow.
Even when we let it in, it's not a one-time thing, right? It's continual work. So I got myself to a point where I could have my dream car and then I let it go because I didn't feel I deserved it. I didn't drive it enough.
Yeah.
I didn't need it.
This topic of self-worth. So what, can I ask you personally, where do you think this idea of limiting your self-worth really stemmed from? At what point in your life do you think that started? And it often doesn't have to do with money. It starts with just a simple psychology that happens early.
Yeah. I think a lot of it had to do, with my upbringing. I love my parents. They love me, but there's definitely an aspect of my life where there was money was not a good thing. And my family wasn't radically wealthy, but we had some, grandparents or great grandparents that had a bit of money.
Very
and that
common
was
story.
Always a bad connotation. It almost made it seem like they weren't good people or that wasn't aspirational or it made them unworthy in some aspect. And so to be better, you need to be just a better person and just, stay under this glass ceiling. Right. And so it was pretty monumental for me when I started making six figures. I was, for me to be out of college and to be someone that was raised as kind of money's not a good thing. And then to hit that 6-figure mark.
Yeah.
And so I really got to the point where I didn't know I was doing this, but I started making dates kind of with my money, right? And budgeting, classic accounting things. But those things have kind of helped me get to where I am today. And I realized that it was just guidance the whole time.
Yeah. Wow. So can we chat a little bit about your clients and if someone wanted to work with you, what would that sort of process look like? And how do you, what's the first step when you're bringing someone in and what kind of, where do you start?
Yeah.
Where would you start with someone who knows that they need that initial sort of push and support?
Mostly I start at what I call if you're an accountant watching this, the generally accepted abundance principles. So there's this thing called the generally accepted accounting principles. I just changed it. And my kitschy accounting thing. But I basically start with money, time, giving and receiving, which is huge, and gratitude.
Yep.
And so I have some mini trainings on that. And we start to kind of, a lot of times too, since I'm working with somewhat more closed people, conservative, it takes a little bit for them to open up about these things because they're hard, right? Me even talking about my upbringing and stuff, that little twinge of don't let people
know.
Yeah, don't let them know. Don't let them know. And so really it's especially the money and the time really strike a chord in a lot of people. But when they shift it and they realize that they can shift it, it doesn't have to be their story. They can forgive if they need to forgive. That's probably that's the foundation and that's the most powerful. And then after that, then we can go into either if they own their own business, what kind of clients do they want to serve?
Yeah.
People don't spend enough time thinking about who it is they truly want to be serving.
Yeah.
And they block themselves because of their thoughts about money with people that are not aligned with their mission. They push them out of integrity.
And when you say with people that are working with their clients, are you talking, because you work with anyone, or are you specific to
accountants?
Specific
mostly.
to accountants. So if you are an accountant or if you know an accountant, she is your girl to connect with.
If you're struggling with your accountant and they need Need some mindset work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you work with people that aren't just accountants though?
I would. Yeah. It's just my messaging is more catered towards accountants because I really believe it's an underserved market.
Yeah.
And I am one. So
you get it. It's the language.
Yep.
Yeah. No, there's something really powerful about you being able to speak that language and then being able to move in because you can grab them where they need to be grabbed. Yes. You're like, I know what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so
we
fascinating.
sabotage ourselves all the time, especially because of our thoughts about money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we keep it from, we won't increase that client's monthly retainer, or we don't charge enough, or we don't keep track of things because we're like, it's just easy. It's easy. I can't possibly be paid for a half hour of work.
Yeah.
It didn't take me any time.
Yeah.
Well, we don't realize, and this can go for anyone, if you have a specialty and you've been doing something for a long time, take like all of the stuff that you've learned for the goddess retreat. You took time to learn all that stuff. You unearthed things within yourself, and like, don't discount that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That is valuable.
Yeah.
Even if it's second nature to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Charge for your retreats.
Thank you very much. I know when my girlfriend, she was like, what are you doing? It's just, and I was like, and I got like that, it was like a good sort of like naughty, like, don't do that to yourself, and I think we all need that. And women, especially, because we think about it, and, with men, I think it's been so like just in their DNA to claim their worth. Not all men, but I think they're more inclined to, just because they've been doing it longer.
Yep. And
as more women are in the workforce, it's like, being able to confidently have that self-worth talk and really put value to what you do. It takes a minute. Because there is this sort of rewiring and reprogramming that we have to do. I'm curious for you, since you did do the 7-week retreat, when we moved into the place of Lakshmi, where we're working with this idea of wealth and fertility and good fortune and manifesting all that we want, like, what was that week like for you? Because you probably had, for some, a step above because you're already working in that world.
Yeah, I think I commented on this, but it felt like I was coming home. It like I read, because I have the
book Awakening Shakti.
Yeah. And we'll have to talk about the weird thing that happened to me when I saw that book on the shelf here. Anyway.
Yeah.
This is all just very fortuitous, and I'm sitting right here because I saw all of it happening as I like picked it up.
Wow.
But
well, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, but Lakshmi, going through that and reading about it, I was like, this is the goddess that I am working with everyone, all of my clients, all of the people that follow me, to unleash, right? Yeah. To give, I am almost the person that's giving them permission, right? And they don't need it, but sometimes it's good to hear, right? And so it's that allowing of the wealth and the fertility is a big thing for me, because my husband and I are deciding like if we're going to have kids or what that family unit looks like. Because I have stepchildren, but like having that, that motherhood piece of it too, that was probably even from the wealth side, but translating that abundance into motherhood, I could start crying. But, like I've never felt like I was worthy of having kids. Wow. And so that is what your course did for me, was help me. I have pages and pages in my journal writing out why I'm worthy of being a mom.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's okay. I'm tearing up too for you. That's beautiful. It's so fascinating how, like we're discussing money, but really when you start to uncover the energy behind it, which you're well aware of, all this other stuff comes up. And once you really get to that core, it becomes a much bigger conversation.
Yep. It's in everything.
Wow. So when you got the book.
Yeah. I saw it on the shelf. So I came in here, and we hadn't chatted a bunch, but I came in here to get a drink, and you were making it, and I saw it on the shelf. And I had been talking to my coach about, I was like, okay, I've done the practical things. I've done some of the brain studies and learning about all that stuff. I was like, I need energy right now. I need the energetic work. This is what I need. And I just picked up that book, and you started talking about it. I saw that you were reading it. And then we started getting into the conversation about podcasting, because I had told my coach too, I was like, I think I want to do a podcast. And so it's just very like, I could just see it all happening. I was like, I'm going to be in that room talking to Ashley about what's in this book. And here we are right now. And this was only 2-3 months ago.
Yeah, this was not very long ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's all, there's no coincidences.
It's all energy.
It's all energy.
Yeah. And when you tap into it, I mean, what I find fascinating just in such a short amount of time is, as I've sort of shifted my focus from, I have this company, I have great products, and now I want to sell them to everybody, and I want everyone to enjoy them and then come back for more. It really, like, I had this total shift of like, no, I want to be of service and guiding people to wake up to something bigger. And it's funny, just that shift in my thought process attracts a different type of person, it becomes a more fulfilling sort of experience in my process to becoming, whatever it is that I'm meant to become. And, and this idea where, like, I love how you humbly say that you're still figuring it out and you're still in that process. And I feel like that's such a, like, what a powerful thing to just humbly say that, to your clients, and to know that they can really trust that you're along this journey too. And maybe you're 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of them, but you're still on your journey, you know?
Right. We have all these gurus that we all follow. And
I'm like, I want to know where your soft spots are.
Yeah. Right. Where are they?
You seem really perfect.
Yeah. And so I think it's just, I don't want to lose that. Right.
Yeah.
And I've even started thinking about, like, what does that look like when I've been doing this long enough? And what does it look like for me to go to that next level? And for me, that's I'll just say it now, because I said it before on my Instagram, but it's to have a framework for accountants and money, caretakers of money to utilize, to be certified in, and people will look for it. Would you look for it?
Oh yeah. I will. I would. I totally. And even if it's not right this minute, like time would come very quickly. Yeah. I mean, that's the idea too. Is it's like, it's so funny. Even myself, where you think like, oh, no one would want that. It's just like right there. You're like, well, you just blocked yourself. Like, block one right there.
Yep. And I'll write too. Like, I'll write those stupid stories that I have in my head, and I'll write lies next to it. I'll cross them out. I'll do whatever. Just it's science. You're retraining your brain.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah. I guess maybe share a little bit, like, what are things that you do? Obviously writing out the lies is one, but just mentally and physically, what are things that you do to kind of get yourself ready for your day and in alignment to make the day positive and to have this sort of manifesting open mind to receive? Yeah.
So the first thing I do usually, especially on a day where I feel like I'm feeling frantic, like I have a lot going on, I started this practice that I've now coined the Reform to-do list. And I will write everything that I feel like I need to do that day, because I'm a highly productive person and I'm trying to unlearn all of my worthiness about my time, like we had just talked about.
Yep.
So one of the best things that I do is I write them all down, and then I star the things that I have to get done that day. They're deadline driven. There's no question. I have to get them done. And then I put a heart next to the things that I want to do. Like, I want to get a load of laundry done because I want to wear that shirt tomorrow, or I want to take my dogs on the walk, or come to Sunspice and get coffee. Like, I'll write that down.
Yeah.
And then the most powerful is the things that I feel like I have a lot of resistance to and I don't want to be doing. And I dive into those things. Like, what is the thing that's keeping me from doing that? Is is it fear around it? Is it that I don't think I'm going to do it well? Is it the perfectionism? Is it just that it's not my cup of tea and I need to maybe think about doing it differently? And so that's kind of a guidance that I take my clients through because they're very busy people.
Right.
They like to be busy. And that's the most grounding thing. And once I'm done with that, then I can start journaling on my day. And I usually do, I have a couple of poetry books. So I'll do a poem pull, kind of like almost like tarot cards.
It's your version of tarot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'll do that and I'll journal on that. And then I usually do a yoga or bar class of some sort or going to walk my dogs. I've been really trying to be mindful about the amount of voices that I take in on a given day. Because I'm very passionate about not losing mine. And I think that that's like a epidemic in the world is there's too many voices and not enough people are in touch with their own.
Can you dive into that? Like, are you thinking like specifically like listening to podcasts, listening to other people,
it can be.
You know, your loved ones, like what it like just in general, taking time of silence?
Yeah, it's taking time of silence and being mindful. I used to have this like long podcast list that I listened to, and I'd get frustrated because it's almost like I would just take too many things out of them and try to implement them right away, you know, and as if their voice was more important than my own instead of checking in and asking myself, is this ultimately true for me?
Yeah.
Do I have to do this? Do I have to do Facebook ads? Do I have, you know? And so truly the people that I listen to most are either in a course that I'm taking or they teach in a way that's it's not consultant. Like it's more of, hey, here's some information, do with it what you will. And I think most people should live their life that way.
Yeah.
That sense of discernment.
Yes. Which we have lost. So many of us have lost that. I mean, and I see it, you know, sometimes I have to even check in with my kids and make sure that they're thinking critically and discerning things on a very simple level, you know, because it's such an important thing to gain as a child, but then to not lose. And right now, you can distract yourself, like you said, with so many voices and be pulled in so many different directions. And that's in all areas of your life. And I think we've seen the most intense version of that probably this year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 2020 has been crazy. And what I've noticed, I think I might be looking for it too, is just the notion that everyone is looking for answers in all of the places except for in themselves. And so they're in Facebook groups and a million of them, they're asking the same question. They're getting a million different answers and they're feeling way more overwhelmed, or they're consuming things.
Right.
Like I don't consume news in the morning or at night because that's when it wires into my subconscious, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to not pay attention to it all the way, but I am going to be mindful of when I consume it.
Such deep stuff. Do you, I just lost my thought. It's so funny. It comes and then it goes just like that. It will come back if it wants to.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Take a drink.
Yeah. We'll just take a sip and pretend like it will come back.
It'll come back.
That's all right. I always say on this show, it's like, you know, people want to try to prepare. I'm not someone that likes to prepare because what happens is I'll get to in my head, like you said, and I'll try to like make sure I ask the right questions, make sure that, you know, everyone knows exactly what to expect. And the truth is it takes away this sort of spontaneity and the natural, authentic experience. Yeah. You know, I totally relate to that. I think I spent, you know, I don't know if you relate to this. I think I'm like the queen of mimicking. I can mimic anything, you know, whether it's me drawing a picture, whether it's me doing a dance routine, singing. It's like I can, the mimicking is so, it's like the copycat is so heavily in me. My brother hated me as a child because it was like, he would draw something and I would draw it exactly how he would do it and maybe even a little bit better, and it would really piss him off. And so this process of actually gaining my own voice has been a very recent sort of breakthrough of like,
for me too.
Yeah. You know, and I think it's almost like we're conditioned not to, you know, and it's like this like best kept secret. It's like, hey, guess what? There's something inside of you that speaks and you can just listen, you know, and this idea of mindfulness too, you know, when we talk about money, right, it will infiltrate in that way. But in other ways, this of quieting your mind to listen to what actually wants to be spoken, like what you should be listening to and what wants to speak with you and then hopefully through you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I think what I hear from a lot of folks that I work with is, I don't know what I'm listening to, you know? I don't know what I should be listening to. I don't know if it's ego. And I think that's the point of, like, I called it a recalibration week a couple weeks ago, where I just stopped all the voices. And that's why it's so important to me. Because I truly believe that when you ask for it, right? When you ask God, you ask source, universe, whatever you believe in, hey, like, guide me. I'm willing to be guided.
Yep.
That's what you hear after that and the actions that follow. I believe that that's your inner knowing, right? That's your voice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let me see if I'm trying to see if we have any questions. It looks like we have 2 comments. Tammy was watching. Hi, Tammy. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for watching the show. We really enjoyed being here today with you all. And Melanie Trigg, Melanie, are you still on? Or are you out? If you are out, that's all right. We'll maybe just give a couple minutes for some questions or comments people want to get. I'm going to look on Instagram real quick too and see what we have.
People, yeah. If you have any money questions or...
Do I have money questions?
That. Yeah, or you do.
Right. Yeah. I know. I'm thinking if what kind of money questions I have. Okay, so I'm in the process of deciding to take the course that I have and turn it into like an actual paid program. I think, for me, it's how do you know what to charge for something like that?
Yeah. I work through this with my clients all the time and for myself.
Yeah.
And truly, everyone's guessing. 100%. Yeah. I don't care what people tell you. They're all guessing.
Yeah.
And it's really like, what do you want to charge for that? Like, what do you feel
your worth is?
Yeah. Is aligned for it. Because I'll tell you, this maybe will help you. When I heard that you were doing that course, and I was like, Laura, you cannot buy another course. That was what but the thing is that I still would have done it. I still would have done it. And I spent a lot of money on personal development. And I saw that it was free. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I wrote that down as like, I manifested a free energy course. It was the thing I needed. And I was like, I would have paid for it. I totally would have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you could have charged $99. I would have paid for it. There's probably a certain level of it. But too, like, I think when you're thinking about what have you paid for, right? And
oh yeah, I mean, if people knew what I paid for self-development, they would lose their mind.
Yeah. But it's
and also
no right or wrong,
right? And I'm assuming a lot of it has to do with what caliber of person you're wanting to work with. Where are you wanting to meet someone? What type of people do you want to coach or teach? I mean, it's easiest to kind of look at yourself, I would assume, and go, well, what type of person are you? Because you'll probably attract more of the individuals that are similar to you, just by the way that you speak, the actions you take,
Right.
Those people are going to be probably in the same arena as you.
And you think about, it's easy for you to say like, well, it's only 7 weeks and I'm only going live this many times and trying to like back into a number.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is you're setting people on a trajectory for the rest of their life. There's no price you can put on that.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's in my accounting brain looking at that hot tub and I'm asking the guy, what's the useful life of this hot tub? I kid you not. Accountant Laura came out, CPA, and he's like, it was like 30 years. And I was like, oh, and I just start like doing the calculations in my head.
You're like on a monthly amount. Did you do it?
Yeah, I kill myself. Yes, of course I did. And because that's just how my brain is still wired, right? And
we all want to know what is the number for the copper hot tub setup?
Oh, it was 10 grand.
Yeah.
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 So, and he was giving us a deal too. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't get good vibes from the guy, so I don't think we're going to.
You just need to find someone better who's selling copper hot tubs.
Yes. But I was thinking about that, and when I started having you've got to be kidding me. You're not a $10,000 hot tub woman. Like, this is not, it sounds so silly, but I started thinking about my coaching, and I'm going to do a mastermind in 2021. And it's not going to be like this very low investment thing. Like, I want high caliber people that are looking for the spiritual, energetic aspect in their accounting businesses.
Yeah.
And so that thought crossed my mind, was like, well, how are you, how can you, I don't know, make this okay, right? Make buying a hot tub and charging this much. I was correlating the two, and they have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
And the thing is that my coaching and that container is going to be with people for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
It is going to change the trajectory. If I hadn't invested in my coach, I might still be in my 9-to-5.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, no, you never know the impact that you may have on someone.
Yeah.
Until they tell you, and all of a sudden you're like, wow.
Yeah.
You hope that that's what they get, you aspire for that. But then when you actually see that someone got those results, that they got that experience that you were intending, that you put the intention, you put the love behind, it's one of the most rewarding things, I'm sure you've experienced.
Well, and if you hadn't done your course, and if the person that coached you, or, if you think about some of like the most influential people in your lives, had decided not to do what they did, right? Or sell their course.
Yeah.
You are doing a disservice to them, right? So
powerful. Laura, this has been awesome to have you on. And I hope you start coaching other people that are not accountants. That's going to be the next thing.
You can always message me, because I'm always willing one-on-one. I just speak to a lot of accounts, but I do have a lot of entrepreneurs in my world.
Yeah. Yep.
So you can always find something to relate to.
Yep. And if you are looking to connect with Laura, or just follow her and get lots of education from her, I would say Instagram is probably the best place to find you, at the Nomad.
At the Numbers Nomad.
Oh yeah, the Numbers Nomad. Mm-hmm. At the Numbers Nomad on Instagram. And you do have a website as well, correct?
Yep. Yeah. And it's linked there. It's in its revamping stage, because I did start out as bookkeeping.
That's fine.
Quickly realized that my calling was right here. So
awesome. So great. So what is that for people that are just listening? What is that?
thenumbersnomad.com.
thenumbersnomad.com. All right, everybody. It's been fabulous having you guys here. For people watching the live, thank you for tuning in. And if you're watching the replay, that is A-okay. We're just happy you're listening. We'll see you next time on the Sunspice Wisdom Show.